All right, welcome everybody. I think we're going to go ahead and get started here. If we could just get everybody's attention. Can I get a little thumbs up from someone on the Zoom if you're hearing us okay? Okay, great. Looking good, looking good. And then for anybody on the Zoom that is interested as well, you can see right behind me, you guys are on the big screen. And then we have another camera view, SJNA, if you'd like. You can see the audience. And just a reminder, if anybody wants to watch this again, we do record these and post them on YouTube, or tell your friends if they can't make it. So, alrighty. Well, then I will go ahead and call to order at 7:06, Drew, if that works for you. Cool. Sorry, getting my mouse here. Great. Well, thank you all for coming out. For those in person, again, bearing the wonderful weather that we've been having. But we're super excited to have you here, and then also on Zoom. And one other thing too, just wanted to definitely mention is, obviously we're trying very hard with this tech and the hybrid meeting situation. As you can tell, we're learning as we go. We're slowly improving, so we're going to definitely continue down that path. And if there's any additional feedback or anything for us, please definitely let us know. So for the folks in the room, if you came in, just make sure everybody signed in. That is one thing that we really need. Then also there was an agenda printed out over there if you wanted to grab those, and a copy of the treasurer's report as well, which we'll be getting to here shortly. Cool. So the first course of business here will be old business. So we're doing this a little bit different here, and bear with us. And if there's any feedback, please let me know. But our old business that we usually start with at the beginning of our meetings are approving last month's minutes. And so going into hybrid situation and working through, it's kind of a laborious process. So what we've been really doing is we as a board have been taking the onus to make small tweaks and corrections as needed. And so this is a moment for me to alert that within the newsletter, we sent a digital copy. We also have in-person paper copies if anybody would like to just review from like a spell check standpoint or whatnot. But otherwise, we're going to approve the prior month's meeting minutes as is. So if anybody wants a copy of the meeting minutes, flag Austin down. He can bring them by. And then for anybody on Zoom, they're also on our website. And if anything, too, if you see anything after the fact, please let us know. But we're just going to do that to keep the momentum of the meeting moving a bit quicker. So with that, the meeting minutes are approved. Excellent. So I will just go ahead and dive in here from a new business standpoint. So for those that don't know me, my name is Patrick Tice, Chair with SJNA. I'm really excited. We don't actually. Yeah, actually we don't, because what has happened is it's approved as is based on what has been. I reviewed it within the parliamentary system and how we're set up within our bylaws. We don't actually have to vote on it. That's what we were discussing at the board meeting. We are approved as is with changes. So I'm just announcing as chair that the meeting minutes are approved as shown. Yeah, just in order to keep things up. So otherwise, yeah, there's nothing to really vote on. But if there are any, we have paper copies here. We have it online as well if you want to take a look. But we are being approved as is. So going into the chair updates again, yeah, Patrick Tice, SJNA chair. Just diving into a few pieces here. So within last month, we partnered very closely with the boosters on a 90-day reset plan, which some of you may have seen. That was primarily led by the boosters that happened down here at Fixin' 2 with local St. John's business owners and also some community members. And so I was actually in attendance at that meeting, and it was an opportunity to meet with local and county reps to discuss mostly within the business community some of the challenges that they're facing as far as storefront vandalism, shoplifting, and other similar concerns. So my role within that was to advocate as far as the community goes, to make sure that some of our concerns are being heard with our local and local and county reps. So some of the things that we were specifically speaking to were, safe, easy to walk and navigable streets, talking about the leaf cleanup, which we have our lovely friends, St. John's Sustainability Committee here as well. So we'll be bringing that back, but, making sure that PBOT is aware with some of those things. Just, safe routes to schools, safe play areas, and those sorts of things. But Tanya, I don't know if you want to maybe give a few updates on your end from how things are going with the 90-day reset.
Yeah, so as Patrick said, we had, Commissioner Carmen Rubio there, Renee Gonzalez, we had mayor's office representative there, we had the county, we had police there, and it was the listening session. So the businesses could talk about, what's been happening in St. John's. So I do want to clarify though. So both Old Town and the Central East Side have a 90-day reset plan. And when they did their 90-day reset plan, it was actually already approved by the mayor's office that they were going to implement this 90-day reset plan. So it's different about the St. John's is that I made a mistake and I should have not called it the 90-day reset plan because I didn't find out till after this all happened. But this is not approved by the mayor's office. But what it did do is that it brought attention to everybody. And at the end of the meeting, I asked for a representative from each of these offices in order to speak to me and have follow-up meetings that we could go through the different asks on this 90-day reset plan. For example, having more foot police patrols in St. John's, having mental health professionals in St. John's that can actually help some of the people that are having some mental health crisis on the streets, things like that. And so with that, I do have a representative from the mayor's office I have already met with and continuing to meet with. I have a representative from the county's office, from Commissioner Rubio's office I met with. I'm meeting with the police on Thursday. And even though this hasn't officially been adopted by the city, everybody is listening and they want to help take action. And so we are going through steps in order to take those actions. And the DA, Mike Schmidt, was there at the meeting, and I had a follow-up meeting with him last Wednesday. And he wants to, go ahead and implement some measures as well that will help St. John's. So it's very exciting. It's very, very, very encouraging. People are listening. We got the attention. We had a lot of news stories going off of all of this, and the businesses are excited. And I do think that there's going to be a good turnaround. And I'll continue at these meetings as things get finalized, letting everybody know what the changes are. But it's all really good.
Cool. Question from Travis.
Looks like Travis, do you have your hand raised?
Yeah, and I've already brought this up to Liz, and I posted actually on another page as well. So the boosters are a highly restricted paid membership organization that's having a lot of direct communication with the city right now. And I know SJNA is there, but there was at least one line that's specific that I would say that's not the controversial, some of the stuff specifically around the police patrols. So I think if the boosters go public with that, there will be feedback from certain members of the community. But specific to the PBOT request is what kind of draws my concern, where the boosters aren't really considering that this is a much larger neighborhood than what I call, Main Street, Lombard. Requesting that the boosters essentially approve any road closures, changes to streets is a bit of a reach. So more calling this out for the minute. I don't think PBOT would go for it, but that line of thinking, we really have to make sure we're including the input from the actual neighbors, which I don't even think SJNA does a very good job of, if we're kind of making this like a reach that goes beyond just Lombard. So hopefully PBOT doesn't approve giving boosters full approval. I would be concerned with that, but just hauling it out.
Yeah, thanks for your feedback, Travis. And obviously we have a relationship with Peabody as well, and I saw that line as well, and we'll continue to work with the boosters on that. Yeah, thanks for your input on that. Any other questions or thoughts? Yes.
I, for once, completely agree with Travis.
Okay.
Yeah, it would be challenging for any one organization, especially because the boosters is focused on such. I mean, I love the idea of getting live input from the business community and from the neighborhood association and from SJNA, from all the different organizations, but just to have one organization give a check. First of all, the city's never going to approve it, so it's not that big a deal, but that would be very challenging.
Yeah, so for those on the Zoom, the question was just reiterating in agreement with Travis, and so we as SJNA have a relationship with PBOT. We will continue our relationship with PBOT. We will continue to work with them on any street closures and notifications. That's a part of land use as well, so it's something that we are continuing to do. So this won't be a change in that regard.
Patrick, there's a request, and there's a request for the people on Zoom can't hear.
Correct. Yep. Yep. Sorry, was there one more thing? One more note? Or
but yeah, I have another point, because what you just said, this isn't about street closures, this is about approving what might come down.
Yeah, so, sorry, I misspoke.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Travis, yeah, I get it. Yeah, no, I misspoke. I meant any sort of adjustments within PBOT, we get notifications within our land use, and we are working directly with PBOT on any of those notifications. So yeah, thanks for your note. All right, well, I will continue to move us along then if there's nothing else. So the next item on the list here is just from an outreach and goals and planning as updates from our end. So as SJNA, we're obviously new board coming out of COVID. We're doing really great with a lot of our hybrid and a lot of our outreach pieces, but one of our major goals and I think plans throughout the next few months, and you'll see through the summer, is continuing to do additional outreach. And so from that is anything from basic flyering to we've been playing around with some paid social as well for Earth Day cleanup that we'll get to here momentarily. But one of the other amazing things too is really we've been working on having a board that is not just speaking to English-speaking residents of St. John's. So we're doing a major push within dual language as well, and outreaching into some of those communities that are maybe a little bit harder to reach, I think, from a neighborhood association. So yeah, just be on the lookout around town. If you see, we will start doing additional flyering in that regard. And then again, yeah, just any way that you can even spread the word from a person-to-person basis, will definitely help us as we continue to get back to where we want to be. Cool. And then the next piece on my chair updates is open board positions. So our friend Mike Barta was land use chair for a moment. He has announced to the board that he is resigning from land use and going at large. So we do, just a reminder, we do continue to have open positions on the board. We are always looking to work with anybody that wants to get further engaged within the community and work with us. So we're definitely open, and if you have any additional interest, you can either see me after for anybody in person, or anyone on Zoom, you can go ahead and send me an email at the info@stjohnspdx.org. And again, just from an outreach standpoint, would love to continue to push out that we all are unpaid volunteers, right? So this, for a lot of us, are kind of we have full-time jobs, and so we're trying to continue to build out the board the best we can. But in the interim, I will be stepping in as land use, acting for the temporary time in between. And then I think the last piece here is also going down my list from just an update for the rest of the year, is something that is tough to talk about, and I never want to ask for this necessarily, but just the reality of where we're at right now as we are rebounding as a board and really moving into 2023 with a lot of great steam, is fundraising. So unfortunately, we're not flush with cash, as you might imagine. Bernadine has these lovely bags over here that we get 10 cents a can if you put your soda cans in there and drop them off at Safeway. But what I'm going to be focusing on over the next few months, definitely before we get to the bazaar, is a better way to be able to do some more fundraising push. So that's digital payments, accepting, and going directly. We are a 501c3, so it's all tax write-off eligible, and so we'll be continuing to push from a fundraising standpoint coming up. So I'll keep you posted on that. Great. And then that's all I had from a chair update. So we have 2 guest speakers today. And so we're running a little bit early here, which is always great. But the first guest speaker I had on the list was Alicia DeLashmet. I hope I said that right, from Cathedral Park Co-Housing. Are you on Zoom?
I'm on Zoom.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to kick it over to Alicia to provide an update to the community, and if you can just keep an eye on the clock, let's try and wrap by maybe around 7:45, and we can take questions if needed.
Awesome, great, thanks. I probably won't talk that long. One minor correction, Patrick, it's Alicia versus Alicia, but you nailed the last name. You got DeLashmet, so that's pretty good.
Sorry about that.
No, don't worry, don't worry. I am a member of Cathedral Park Co-Housing, and I realize that's in Cathedral Park neighborhood, not St. John's neighborhood, but I figured since we were so close in being neighbors, wanted to talk to you guys as well and let you know what we're up to. We purchased land on the corner of Edison and Burlington a few years ago. You've probably seen our sign out there on the property. It's right next to the community garden. We've just gotten 3 goat brothers that are helping us clear the land there. So they're 3 twin, or I guess that's triplet goats that are living there and helping us with all the blackberries. We are on track to start construction within the next year. So that's really exciting. I've been working on this. I'm one of the founders of the co-housing group and have been working on this project for about a decade. So really excited that we are getting this close to construction and pulling all of the community together. Co-housing is, for those that aren't familiar, there's about 20 co-housing communities in Portland general in the metro area. It started in Denmark and also has roots in Israel and the kibbutzes. Came over here in I think the 80s, and there's about 150 to 200 co-housing communities nationwide now. So we will be one of those. We are the only forming co-housing community in Portland right now. So we are growing and pulling neighbors together. Just to give you kind of parameters of what we're going to be building, we're there on about 1/2 acre. We're going to be 35 homes or 35 units. It's a condo type build. So, high density, of course. We've got a centralized courtyard that will be facing out towards Forest Park and the river and the bridge and all that. So that's kind of an inner courtyard. Co-housing has the same thing as every other condo building has, where each home is self-sufficient. So you've got bedrooms, living rooms, kitchens, laundry, dining areas, all of that in your walls. But we also have a lot of space that we share. So we've got a big common space that has a kitchen and dining area that opens up onto the courtyard. So some good indoor-outdoor space. We've got an upper story kind of living room space with an outdoor courtyard that overlooks the lower courtyard, and then upper deck that looks back towards the neighborhood and then out towards the view as well. Our thought is once we are all built and folks are living there, we'd love to open that common space up to the broader communities. We're going to be hosting different little workshops and celebrations and learning gatherings and such. So we'd really like to have a connection, not just us as co-housing, but a community within a broader community. So we look forward to getting to know everyone. I think I mentioned we're 35 units. We're sizes of studios up to 3 bedrooms. We are multi-generational, so anything from families up to elders. We are subsidizing 3 units at 60% or below median family income. And then we are working on subsidizing 3 more so that we have some affordability in the build. It's not all market rate. We also started a nonprofit about 5 years ago to help with some of those subsidies. The nonprofit helped get this community off the ground. And then the nonprofit, whose mission is to promote, support, and develop inclusive and diverse communities, is going to go forward and help other communities kind of get off the ground. Co-housing usually is structured where families that have this idea, that the dreamers, they call us burning souls, the crazy people in the kitchen that decide that this is what they want to help create. Usually families come together with their funds and do the work and put the money in and at risk in the early days. That means that you have to have liquidity and have to have money that you can put at risk. So we figured if we partnered with this nonprofit and followed along the mission of inclusion and diversity, then we could have maybe foundation money help us get up and running, do some of the due diligence, and then help other communities go forward. So that's why we started the nonprofits. So it's sort of a nonprofit for-profit kind of venture. Trying to think what else I can tell you about it. We're going to be hosting a few in-person site parties in the next probably year as we get ready to break ground. And I'm just happy to answer any questions that folks have. We're not a cult, so don't worry about that. So one of the questions that came up at the Cathedral Park Neighborhood Association when our architects were presenting, somebody asked if we are a cult. We definitely are not. Just families coming together. So yeah, available for questions. It's cathedralparkcohousing.com if you want to know more. We're doing twice monthly information sessions, and I'm always available to chat co-housing and chat about our project. So I'll kind of stop sharing. I can't screen share, can I, Patrick?
Yeah, you actually can.
Oh, I can. Okay. Can you give me permission and I'll show you a picture?
Oh, yeah. Let's, I think you just,
It's on, the location is on the corner of Edison and Burlington. So from that corner over to the community garden is basically the property. There was a question that popped up in the chat. It's 8506 North Edison and 8522. There's a house that's there right now that some folks are living in. It will be deconstructed when we start, and I'm looking to see.
Can you request?
I just made it so that multiple participants can share.
Can you try and share? Yeah. Well, can you try and share your screen again?
Yep. Okay. Let me move this.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, we see it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Slideshow from current slide. Okay, so I'll make it big. So these are architectural sketches. We don't have all of our exterior materials selected yet, and we don't have all of our landscaping done yet. This is just, I know it looks like for reals, but it's how architects sketch nowadays. So this is, if you were standing on the street on Edison looking towards Forest Park, this is our main entrance. All of this area here is the shared space that I was describing. So this is where we'd love to see you and host you for, you know, potlucks and workshops and yoga and various things. So we have some parking. We've got 15 parking stalls down on the lowest level. We've got bike storage. We do have an elevator. So this is something that's kind of neat to know, is that we've designed really thoughtfully for folks that want to age in place. So all of the homes are one floor, so they're sort of stacked up on each other like a parfait. And we have an elevator that gives access to everything. We'll have a guest suite that folks can come and stay in. And then I mentioned the courtyard. This is the big shared space from the opposite side, our living room area and the upper deck. So that's, you know, some sketchiness of what we're going to be looking like. So I'll stop talking. And
oh yeah, we have a question. We actually have a question here for you. I'll reiterate it. Go ahead.
Yes, please.
Just, is it the tenants themselves that manage the property? Or, I mean, I would presume because it's co-housing, but
Yeah, so the question was, who actually manages the property? Is that the tenants, like a co-op, co-housing management, or how does that work?
Right, it's condos, so we are self-managing. We will each own our own condo, and then we are the condo association.
Yes.
What made you choose the St. John's area?
Yeah, so the question was, what made you choose the St. John's area?
My dog Millie and I were walking. We walk around that area a lot and love the culture and just sort of the flavor of St. John's. I live in Arbor Lodge. I've been here since 1992 and just love this neck of the woods. You know, I really appreciate the, you know, Portland is made up of all these different neighborhoods, and each neighborhood has its own flavor. And I've spent a fair amount of time in St. John's and, you know, walking through and riding through, and that's part of the reason why we chose it. We also, you know, Portland is really expensive to build in. We wanted to be close to amenities and transportation so that we had access to all of those amenities, but we also love the idea of having access to nature so that we're not just stuck in the middle of, you know, a downtown core or a deep neighborhood. So we just sort of thought that this was a perfect spot, and there was a piece of land available, and we managed to snag it. So
Yes. The question is there electric bike charging and electric car charging at this facility?
there will be, yeah. Nothing is there yet, but yes, that's part of what we're planning on.
Yes.
Is there a parking area?
The question is there a parking area? If you couldn't hear.
Yeah, thanks for repeating. We do have parking underneath. Since we're on that sloping site, we're able to build out straight, and then we kind of developed a little place for bike storage, parking, some shared laundry, and a dog washing station, since, you know, it's Portland and everybody has a dog.
There's a question online here. I'm just going to read it. It says, tell us more about the Denmark co-housing inspiration.
I'm not a co-housing history expert, but I know that two folks, Katie McCammett and Chuck Durrett, kind of were in Denmark, loved the concept, brought it over to the United States in the 80s, I believe. They're sort of known as the mom and dad of co-housing. And Chuck is an architect, Katie is a developer. They were married, they're not married anymore, I don't believe, but they're still huge proponents of co-housing. It's essentially a group of people that come together based on a set of shared values, shared and spoken values, and develop the world that they want to see, you know, the community that they want to see. So it's self-managed, everyone participates. We make decisions through a organizational structure called sociocracy. So that's your word of the day, is sociocracy. And it came from some of the other co-housing groups manage their decision making through consensus. That's where everybody has to agree. Sociocracy is more, as long as no one objects, you get to move forward and kind of come back and review and make modifications as necessary. So it's been around for a while. Like I said, there's 20 here in Portland. So we've got a lot of good people to learn from of what worked and what didn't. So we didn't have to, you know, create it ourselves. And essentially, you know, we're a condominium of people that have chosen to all come together as a group and, you know, care about each other, know each other, have connection, not just live side by side, but actually, you know, be there to help support and enjoy each other's company, and be a little lighter on the land with some sharing and some meal sharing and some support sharing.
Cool, yeah. 1 second, there's a question hand raised on the Zoom. Carmen?
Hi. Yes, I wanted to know, how does this, like, how would this concept age in the future? So what if people decide that they want to move on from the co-housing? How do you guys bring new people in an equitable way? for in the future?
So good question. So the condo, I mean, everybody owns their condo. So if I want to sell, if I want to leave, I can sell my condo. We have agreements in the community that, you know, as we've come together, a lot of people we have things called explorers. So people that click in to learn more about us, and we get to know them, they get to know us, and we see if it's kind of a match, if we're a good fit to be a part of this development. And we've got like 18 people right now that are exploring our community. We had 31 people that showed up at our last information session. So there's a lot of interest in this. And that's said that, you know, there's not a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like units on the market. What's that called? Inventory. There's not a lot of inventory of co-housing. So we tend to maintain a pretty robust interest list. So for people that when somebody wants to sell and move on, they go to that interest list first, because those are folks that already know our community and we know them. If nobody in there wants, then we can put it on the market. We usually would work with like a realtor that understands co-housing, so that somebody doesn't just buy a condo and then all of a sudden all the neighbors like want to say hi and eat dinner together, and it's like, why are you talking to me? So that's, you know, and again, we're kind of following suit with what other co-housing organizations have done and what's worked for them in the past. For the affordable units, they stay affordable in perpetuity, so they're never going to flip onto like market rate units. So we're working with Proud Ground, which is a land trust group here in Portland, and they're helping manage our affordable units so that they help income qualify folks and make sure that those connections are happening and the affordability stays in those homes so that they don't convert.
Very cool. Did you still have a question, or?
Yeah, I was wondering when they were planning to break ground, and if they had any idea on what their average units would cost once they get built.
Yeah. So the question is, first off, when are you planning on breaking ground? And then the second question is, do you have a rough idea of an estimate, like average cost of the units per unit?
Yeah. So we're on trajectory right now to break ground at the end of this year. So that's pretty exciting. We want to have 75% of our members together before we do. So we kind of have a couple of things that depend on whether we do start. We need to go through permits, so we don't know exactly how long permitting is going to take. We need to have 3/4 of our members, so we're on a good path to do that. And then we want to make sure that we start construction when the weather is, you know, logical. So, you know, we're kind of working on that. But we look like we're going to be able to start in the end of the year, sort of depending on weather and all of those other things that I mentioned. The price points, the studios start in the high 300,000s, and the 3 bedrooms are ending in the mid 8s. Those are projected in 2025 dollars. So when we go to get our mortgages in 2025, that's what we would be getting the mortgages for. And we get guaranteed maximum pricing before we start construction. Co-housing tends to hit the market at about 10 to 20% higher per square foot than a typical condo building does, because there is so much shared space and you're kind of buying part of that shared space as well. And co-housing doesn't maximize the build like a box of condos would, where, you know, you'd like push it out to as far as you can and it's a big enclosed building. We've got this big open courtyard in the back so that our homes have glass on 2 sides, if not 3. So it's not just, you know, like it's called a double loaded corridor where you go down a hallway and peel off into units, and where you just have one wall of windows. So you're not maximizing the space and putting in as many units as you possibly can, because you're trying to build a more friendly environment where there's places that people can connect and there is more airflow and light and all of that sort of thing. I think I gave more information than what you asked for, but you get me going and I'll talk about this stuff all night. I'm like the most boring person at a party because this is all I want to talk about.
Cool. No, we appreciate it. Well, it's 7:40. I think unless there's any more additional questions, I think we might go ahead and move it on along. But thank you so much for joining, and would love to, yeah, have you back if there's any additional updates down the road.
Well, we'll host one of your community meetings in our common space pretty soon.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate that. All
Yeah,
righty.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Great. Well, I'm going to move it along to the next guest speaker here. We have Casimira Tadewalt. I'm sorry if I'm not
Yeah,
pronouncing
thank you.
that.
Hi, I'm Casimira, and I would almost quote Alicia to say I'm also one of the most boring at the party because this is all I want to talk about is what we're working on. So basically a quick introduction, and then Willie Levison from Human Access Project will take over, but I'm a member of the Cathedral Park Neighborhood Association. We did write a grant to fund a pretty extensive cleanup of the Cathedral Park beach. So I get to be the bearer of good news and appreciate you guys having us out. And how the project came about was based on a cleanup that Human Access Project did back in 2021. And I did volunteer there, and I know a lot of people from the neighborhood also did, so you might remember that happening, but it was basically the swimming area in Cathedral Park. They just took a lot of the concrete and rubble out, and if you were somebody that had been down there either with your dog or with kids, you know, it was pretty treacherous. You know, most people get pretty banged up, but we swam there anyway because we love it. It's a beautiful place. And what else? Yeah, I you know, I love it down there. I go down there with my daughter and my dog all the time. So very, very excited to clean it up. Willie also has another super exciting announcement, but I'll let him share that with you guys and basically let him take it from here.
Awesome. And thanks for having us. And it's cool to see such an engaged neighborhood association. Can I possibly share my screen? I'm not sure.
I believe you should be able to if you want to go ahead and try that.
Okay, let me see. Somewhere.
Okay, yeah, we're seeing it.
Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to take you through a few slides of the work that we're looking to have done. Casimira mentioned that we organized a concrete and rubble cleanup event a couple years ago. This is what the shoreline of Cathedral Park looked like. Quite shameful. You know, having concrete and rubble at the water's edge is dangerous. It is ugly. It degrades shallow water habitat and just does not welcome people into the river. So we organized 100 volunteers, and in 3 hours, we removed 25 tons of concrete, taking the shoreline from this to this. So it was particularly satisfying because this area has probably looked like that for 50 to 75 years. Yeah, thank you. Then Casimira, a lot of people know our organization, Human Access Project, from the Big Float. We just got done doing our 10th year of the Big Float, and when Casimira reached out to let me know that there was a grant opportunity in St. John's, I was thoroughly and completely burned out. But I told Casimira that if she had the initiative to write the grant, I would help her with it, and that if she got the funds, that we would continue doing work. And Casimira, to her benefit, wrote a great grant. We got funded $10,000, and now we're going to get the concrete from the south side of the dock. So last fall, Human Access Project secured a $300,000 federal grant to be used to create better access to the river. And we partnered with Portland Parks and Recreation and identified that they were short about $300,000 to replace the Cathedral Park dock. So this dock is slated to be replaced this summer. That's the big news. So by the time this dock is replaced and we remove the concrete from both sides of the dock, this photo was taken before we removed concrete. It will be a significant uplift to the Cathedral Park and Cathedral Park neighborhood and St. John's. So we're super excited about it, and we will need a lot of volunteers. This is really the case where many hands do make light work. And if there's anybody on this call who participated in our first event, it really does feel awesome to be able to have a hand in unscrewing up nature. We all know humans are quite capable of screwing nature up, but it's really great when we can have a chance to unscrew it up. And it really just gives you that much more of a relationship with the place. So, for people who have questions about water quality in St. John's, we all know that St. John's is part of the Superfund site. Oregon Health Authority put together an infographic in partnership with Oregon State University, Bureau of Environmental Services, Environmental Protection Agency, and DEQ to just let people know that it's really, I mean, what I tell people when they ask me about health concerns of the Superfund, first, no apologies for the pollution that's there. It sucks. But from a practical standpoint, as a human, stay away from Gasco Beach and Willamette Cove. Willamette Cove is particularly dangerous because it looks so inviting, and don't eat resident fish. Other than that, the water column of the entire Willamette River is fine to swim in. A lot of people don't really connect the dots that Savi's Island is basically a part of the Superfund site, and it's one of the most popular areas to swim on the Willamette. So you can feel perfectly okay swimming at Cathedral Park, and I do myself when I'm in the neighborhood. So that's all I got. Any questions?
Yeah, we have a question in the room, and then there might be some online as well. Go ahead.
Are you guys working with Friends of Baltimore Woods? And good job, and thank you so much for your effort.
So the question was, are you working with Friends of Baltimore Woods? And then just saying great job and love the work.
Thank you. We're just kind of going on a little North Portland outreach tour. So we will, although is Barbara Quinn part of Friends of Baltimore Woods? I feel like she might be. So yeah, everybody knows Barbara. Yes. So we did have a chance to present to Barbara at the Cathedral Park Neighborhood Association. So not them directly, but yeah, we are definitely looking to make the rounds and do community outreach.
And also let us, Citizen Park, sorry, y'all, SJNA boosters know so we can volunteer when there's an.
Yeah, so it was just reiterating, yeah, let's just continue to stay in touch, Willie and team, and we can help amplify the volunteer call on social and in our newsletter, and we'll continue to alert the community here in our forum.
Yeah, I'm super impressed with the participation of this neighborhood association. And I'm sorry, I lost track of your name, the main dude with the hoodie on.
It's Patrick.
Patrick, yeah, but very well organized meeting. Great job, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Hey, Willie, this is Kasmira. Did you want to touch on the algae bloom potential benefits?
Oh, sure. So there was a harmful algae bloom that formed in the elbow of the dock last summer. It was pretty unusual because it wasn't typically the harmful algae bloom that we track starts from the Ross Island Lagoon. And the level of toxicity of the harmful algae bloom was actually dangerous to people. Typically, harmful algae bloom is something that's more of a threat to dogs. So when the dock is being replaced, there's going to be a lot of big emphasis on creating greater circulation inside the dock. So modern docks now are elevated by pontoons versus the current docks that sit on the water like a raft, which prohibits circulation. Then we're also going to take a look at the log booms that surround the dock. It isn't necessary for it to be a solid line of logs. If we were able to chop little holes in them, if big debris comes through the cable, we'll be able to catch a certain amount of it. But we're really just going to be putting a lot of emphasis on increasing water circulation inside of the dock. So hopefully it'll solve two problems at once.
Perfect. And so we have a few things online really quick. Just, yeah, repeating the beaches to stay away from, just as a reference. And then there's also a follow-up here, basically asking, can we get a copy of that graphic you shared, or is that from, yeah, just can we get a copy of that?
Yeah, 100%. I can make sure I get it to Richard, and it can be distributed from there, I guess. If you have an online newsletter or something, I think I can find an online link that you can share. Either way, I'll get you the graphic. And the beaches to avoid are Willamette Cove, which is south of Cathedral Park. That's an area that you guys will want to stay tuned to. It's owned by Metro, and there's a lot of work done to make sure that Metro does a full cleanup of the site. And all of the bad material is going to be carted off the site now. It's going to be a chance to create a beautiful new park once it's cleaned up. So that's going to be happening probably over the next 5 to 10 years, but definitely something to keep on your radar. The other beach is Gasco Beach. To be honest with you, it's a pretty industrial site. I'm not sure what the exact location of that. I think let me pull it up really quick one more time.
Cool.
You still should have the sharing.
I'll just share this one graphic one more time, just because people are probably curious, just in case. I'll definitely get this to you, but I can understand why everyone would have more curiosity about this. Share screen. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so the areas in red are the no-go zones. Yeah, so Gasco Beach is actually on the west side of the river, so you'd really have to take an effort to get there. Willamette Cove, Google it, look at the photos of it, look at it from the water, but stay off that beach. Stay away from Willamette Cove.
Yeah, and for those that aren't aware, it's just north of the train bridge. If you know where that is, it's right in there, and it truly is a cove. I mean, it is a big, it looks beautiful, but look at it from a distance, I guess, if you will.
Yep.
Yes. The question is it dangerous to be around Willamette Cove or just get in the water?
Dangerous to be around Willamette Cove. Do not go to Willamette Cove.
It's not very easily accessible anyway, honestly. I'm not exactly sure. You kind of have to get down there and kind of go pretty far to get there, but
yeah, my recollection is it's fenced off. I think it would probably be more, I mean, if I was a 13-year-old kid, I would probably be curious and want to explore behind there myself.
Yeah, so Willamette Cove, it is, for if you don't know, it's a EPA Superfund site. So yeah, that's what he was alluding to, is that is slated to be completely cleaned up and sediment removed.
Yeah, the principal risk of the Superfund site is fish consumption. It's sad, it's a dark thing, but you cannot eat resident fish out of the Willamette. That's actually for the entire lower Willamette. It is not just North Portland. So if that makes North Portland feel any better, no one in Portland can eat resident fish. It isn't just St. John's people.
Yeah.
So.
All right. What question?
I have a quick. Last winter, I experienced something. I was wondering if it's standard procedure. Alongside the dock, underneath the bridge there to upriver, there was a massive accumulation of trash and all kinds of things. It was enormous. And I went by one day and it was all cleared out, and there was a city worker there. And I thought it was an enormous job for just one person. And I talked to him about it. He said, we just pushed it all out into the river to go downstream further. Is that normal procedure?
I don't know if you heard that or if you can even speak to that specifically, but the gentleman was saying there was a trash that was dumped down on the river, and some city worker allegedly pushed it out into the river. So just wondering if you all are aware of any sort of procedure on cleaning up the beach from trash, not just concrete.
This is to the other side of the dock from the beach. This is where there's a little log cut off thing, but
north or south?
This is stuff that had come from upstream and accumulated in that little
I wonder if, oops, where did my camera go? I wonder, you cannot start your video because the host stopped it. Oh, my video has been taken.
Sorry
I'm
about that.
No problem. I'm here. I just, okay, hold on a sec. Start my video. What my guess is maybe what you're describing is flotsam, which is kind of like woody debris that will fill in the backside of the dock. Is
Plastic
that?
and trash, bottles.
Yeah, yeah. It's hard. I mean, yeah. I wouldn't. It's one of those things. It's brutal to watch that happen. It would be nice if somebody was able to pick out the trash before they just send it on downstream. I'd say, if you're there yourself and you can devise a tool with a hook or something that you can try to clean it out yourself in a safe way, asking the city employees to do that. Yeah, God, they got so much stuff on their plate right now. I really got to pick my spots about what I ask for from them, but that must have been really hard to watch. I get it for sure.
Yeah, and what I would say is I know that I've worked with other organizations as well in the neighborhood. We've hosted cleanups down in Cathedral Park Beach for trash specifically, so outside of this scope. And just similarly to the concrete, like you can get a lot of bags of trash with soft cleanup. And so if that's something that I think if you as a community, if you're seeing that, or if I see it, or any board members, if we see some accumulation of trash, we can turn on a soft cleanup pretty quickly and get some boots down there and help to try and mitigate some of those issues.
What's that called?
Solve Oregon. Yeah, it's the fully volunteer cleanups that we've hosted before. All right, well, sake of time, I think I'm just gonna, let's go ahead. So sorry, there's one more question here.
What's the timeline of redoing the dock, and are they planning on closing the beach still during the summer?
Yeah, so I'll repeat the question. What is the timeline on redoing the dock, and will there be a beach closure while that is under construction?
What we are, what the hope is that the dock will be replaced maybe late summer, and that it's going to be coincided with cleanup, because the dock section would need to be removed anyway for us to get access to the south side of the beach. There's really poor access to the south side of the beach right now, but there's not really much of a reason to go down there. So what I've found with a lot of the work we've done in downtown Portland, we removed 200 tons of concrete over 4 years from a beach on the east side. Tomahawk Bowling downtown, we wound up removing about 10 tons of riprap or putting it back on the bank. Poets Beach, we activated in a similar way. So, what happens, I think, is when an area looks like garbage, it takes a lot of creativity to imagine that it's a useful space. So, as we remove the concrete, as we, replace the dock, all of a sudden, hopefully there'll be an initiative to create better access to the south side. That's really an area that could benefit from having an ADA ramp and stairs. That wouldn't be too hard of a project to do. So, one step at a time. But yeah, September is what we're targeting right now.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, awesome. Yeah, I will say definitely thank you both for all your hard work. I know it's going to be a big benefit to the entire community. So we really appreciate it all, and keep us posted. We'll be in touch, Willie.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Great work. Great job. Very impressive neighborhood association. Super cool to see. Love the engagement.
Oh.
Go ahead.
One last thing. So if anybody wants to stay up to date on the project, if you could sign up for the Human Access Project newsletter, and then you'll be able to find out the dates, which haven't solidified yet. And also, speaking of dumping in the river, part of this project is going to include some exploratory diving around the area, so that, for me, I want to rest assured that, when we're diving off that dock, to know what's in the water there. And so that is included, which is exciting as well. More good news.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, and we were just wondering, is there a link you can potentially drop in the chat for the newsletter for the folks on Zoom, and then and then for everybody in the room, we'll just search out Human Access Project to sign up for their newsletter. Perfect. All right, well, it's 8 o'clock on the dot. We're right on schedule here, so I'm going to keep this thing moving. Thank you so much, yeah, for those updates.
See you guys.
Really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Yep, take care. All right, well, we're going to continue down the list here, and we're going to go ahead and go through some general board updates, and we will go ahead and start with Vice Chair. So for the board members, this is the speaking chair. You have to come over to my computer.
So Paul's stealing the
Yeah,
limelight
let's-
up there with
let's,
his nice mug.
Well,
How's this happening?
let's see.
Anyway, I don't need my face up there. It's fine. Yeah, Paul, just try to mimic what I'm saying with your, so that it, yeah, there we go. So my update's a brief one. I'm sort of the neighborhood cleanup person on the board, if you will. In my capacity as vice chair, I've also taken this on, so I've organized a couple of self cleanups so far. One in the business district, one on Lombard, just as you come over the bridge near Fred Meyer and around Roosevelt High School. So months and months back, found out about a grant through Metro to do bulk waste event, bulk waste cleanup. And so, Bernadine, we're just gonna get you there here. Get a little feedback. There we go. And so that event, we got that grant, we won it. So it is coming up at Roosevelt High School on April 22nd, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. or at capacity. That is an important note, get there early because there's no guarantee there's dumpster space out by 1 p.m. So this is an event for the whole neighborhood, all this side of the cut. And we will have, we're partnering with Recology to come in, and there'll be obviously trash, recycling, yard waste possibilities there. There'll also be other sort of harder to dispose of items and that we can be able to recycle and take care of at this event. Some of which are household batteries, tires, paint, some of the compact fluorescent light bulbs, things such as that. Also some small, medium-sized electronics, etc. I'm actually realizing I should probably share my screen would be nice here, because there's a little list. If you go to there's a question about styrofoam. That is, we're working on a styrofoam recycling option, but regardless, it would be able to be disposed of, but we're trying to get it to where it will be recycled and not just tossed in a bin. So more to come on that. We're still working on that. It's on our Facebook, it's on our Instagram, it's plastered around town and business windows. There's flyers with details about the event, and this is a list of what you can bring. There's accepted items, prohibited items, you can see there. So again, this is on our Facebook, on our Instagram. We're going to get it up on our website momentarily. So there's, you can kind of take stock, see what you have, see what's accepted, and make plans to attend on April 22nd on Earth Day. And I know there's a lot of other activities going on around the city, around the area. So I hope that you stop by, you drop off that paint you've been meaning to get rid of, and then go volunteer for a cleanup or something. No pressure, but I'll be watching. No, I'm just kidding. So, and really with this, the one other thing I want to mention is this is in partnership this go around with the St. John Sustainability Committee. Jenny's here, and the crew, they have been working on these types of events for a long time. Without them, this definitely would not happen. I'm no expert. I'm just somebody who happened to think they could apply for a grant and make an event happen, and just said, let's do it. But great partnership with them in helping to organize this, and they'll be continuing to organize events like this in the future, and we'll be supporting them on that. So we just were fortunate enough that we got a grant this go around, but these types of cleanups will continue in the future in various forms. But so be on the lookout for SJSC and their future events. And yeah, Caroline, no problem. Any questions there, both in person or in the chat? There's one in person, so I'll go ahead there.
It's a nonprofit. We just started training to do the annual cleanups and keep doing cleanups and our education environmental. Can I ask you things? Get people to look at the website for updates on the styrofoam and composite plastic recycling. I'm still on that, and also to remind people that we will have free compost as well.
Right, free compost. Keep an eye out for future announcements around recycling for styrofoam. There will continue to be updates. So we'll keep posting on social media, so do follow us, Facebook, Instagram. We'll keep updating the website as well, as it is sort of still a morphing event. And the original question was around the group that we're partnering with. And so I said St. John's Sustainability Committee, but Coalition. St. John's Sustainability Coalition is the group we're partnering with this, and we'll continue to make sure that these happen in the neighborhood no matter what moving forward, whether or not we get a Metro grant, as we were fortunate enough to do this time. So I'm seeing no questions in the chat. Are there any other questions in the room on this one?
It's on the 22nd. Please remind everybody of the location.
Yeah, so it's the Roosevelt High School in the parking lot, basically right by the track and the football field there. It's going to be a one-way. You're going to pull in, do the loop around. We'll have everything laid out in the certain areas for where you'll need to go, so you know what's relevant to you, and sort of loop your way back out. So it's going to be one way. So please be patient with us. We're going to have our volunteers out there, which if you would like to volunteer, we were looking for more. So please get in touch. Either drop a message in the chat. There's the email, the info@stjohnspdx.org email address. But we're going to be looking for more volunteers for this. But yeah, so we'll be directing you through and making sure that it flows as smoothly as possible. But anticipate there'll be a lot of people, a lot of cars, a lot of stuff going on. So just be patient with us on the day there. Great. So in the chat, Caroline would like to help organize plastic recycling event with James Recycling. I'm getting thumbs up from Jen, the St. John's Sustainability Coalition. So could you direct message me, and my name, I'm just RJ in the Zoom chat. If you could direct message me like a contact email or way to get in touch, and we can continue that conversation after this meeting. Thank you. Anything else, folks?
And anybody that ever has any kind of recycling or kind of cleanup or something that you're passionate about, I think between the two of us, or two different organizations, we can figure out a way to make that happen.
Great, yeah. So the point that was Jen from St. John's Sustainability Coalition again, and it was basically any ideas like that around the recycling event with James Recycling, other events of the sort, whether it's a specific item or cleanup, whatnot. Between SJNA and SJSC, we can make sure it happens. We can organize and make sure that we get it done and take care of what needs to happen in the neighborhood. All right, thanks, folks. I'm going to leave the speaker chair.
All right.
Bye, Zoom.
Thanks. Awesome. Thanks, RJ. All right, we're going to have. We have some audio going on here.
It's Bernardino on, yeah.
So we're going to keep this moving down here, and so just before we get going, we're going to pass off to Treasurer general updates. But one thing, very briefly, is we will be taking a vote during this next section, and so just to remind everybody on voting eligibility, on the sign-in, we were asking for folks that are living in the neighborhood, but just in order to be eligible to be a SJNA member, I just want to reiterate directly from our bylaws here, is that all membership for SJNA shall be open to all residents 16 age or older, property owners, business licensees, and nonprofit organizations located or performing a significant part of their services within the boundaries of SJNA, and all members of Cathedral Park Neighborhood Association, CPNA, as defined in the bylaws of that association. So just want to clarify that. We're going to go honor system, but if there is anything down the road, I just really want to help reiterate the voting process and procedures. So Bernadine, do you want to come down here to the speaking chair? Thank you. Um,
Do you have this to show up
to
there?
share, yes, I do. RJ, is that something potentially you could share your screen, or I can?
Is it?
I can try and reach over you really quickly.
Is it on the?
It is right here. I'll be able to do this. Bear with us 1 second here. I will open up this somewhere. And then you can, so I'll do this. 1 second, folks.
I want the Final Jeopardy music.
Yeah, let's get some hold music here. Can you see that, RJ?
Yes.
Okay.
We don't want to get copyright strikes.
So, so this is this, and if you just want to scroll, you can. Here's the microphone too, if you would like. Awesome. Thank you.
Oh, everybody in person.
Okay, so for the general checking account for March 12th, 2023 to April 9th, 2023, last night, our beginning balance was $1,771.77. Hopefully everybody can see this either on the screen, on Zoom, or you've got hard copies out there and stuff. I'm saying this for those that are on Zoom, but are on a phone and can't see what's transpiring and are listening to us. As you see, we have income. This was a Google payment that we had made 3 months ago, and we held it off as an expense, and Google never processed it. So it came back last night as income back to us. We're still trying to figure out what happened with Google. We don't know. So that amount is back in the account. It never left. So our total income was the $12. Expenses for MailChimp for this month is $39.50. And that leaves us with a balance of $16,371.77. As you can see, for those that have hard copies or can see the screen, we have restricted funds of $262.62. None of the checks that we have written to the 4 schools in our neighborhood have come through yet. But that will end up with that grant of Day of the Child being 0. We have restricted for our Metro grant, which is covering the Earth Day cleanup and expenses. We have $4,667 left. Then in the other restricted account of Safer Together for the grant, we have $10,000. So we have unrestricted $1,442.15 in the general account.
Yeah, you can use the arrow down. Perfect. There you go.
The next is the art fund. There's been no income and no expenses. We started with a balance on March 12th of 104 cents, and we ended up with the same amount yesterday. There has been no transactions or work on that account. Next is bottle drop. And our balance, beginning balance as of March 12th, was $377.32. We've had bags dropped, and this was quite a bit, our biggest month in a long time, $74 worth of cans and bottles were dropped. So it was a great month for income for us there. And then we had an expense of blue bags of $20. And those were bought, that's 100 bags for the April 22nd cleanup event to make sure that we have them on hand. Our ending balance as of yesterday is $431.32. Any questions from anybody?
And then Bernadine, I think the next thing we had on the list was the vote to amend the budget to.
Yeah. Do you want to talk? I'll
can-
let Patrick talk about the St. John's Bazaar
Perfect.
situation, just so that you know, our approved budget for the St. John's Bazaar parade is $200. And Patrick's going to inform you on the rest.
Yeah, thank you, Bernadine. So thanks for going through the numbers there for us. And so as you can tell, we do have a few restricted things here, but that unrestricted amount of the 1,400 is essentially our operating cost, right? And especially if you think of MailChimp is now, we're getting hit $40 a month basically. So that's what the focus at the beginning, a little bit more with the fundraising, and we're working closely with some additional grants and stuff to keep us kind of moving on that front. So from a Bazaar standpoint, so we have a board member, Leslie, who is not here today, but Leslie is managing and working closely with the Bazaar to get that event and in partnership with SJNA. But as SJNA, we budgeted and were originally planning for this fiscal year to sponsor the Bazaar with $200 like we have done in the past. And we've been working with Leslie, who's been working with that organization. And we are going to be actually looking to amend the 2022/23 fiscal, I guess, our fiscal ends in June, Bernadine, right? Yeah. So this fiscal year, right, which we're still in, to amend the budget to increase by $50 to $250 so that we can make that donation to the Bazaar. And what that'll be is we'll have a booth, we'll be able to do additional outreach and fundraising. And as we get through and get more involved and get into next fiscal year, we definitely want to be able to have some of that money that is available to not only sponsor the Bazaar, the parade as well, and just kind of continue to work with these local organizations that are really, really important to our community. So at this point, I guess, Bernadine, I'm going to just call a vote to amend the fiscal budget from $200 to $250. I can't do it, right. Do I have a motion to amend the budget to increase by $50 to cover the Bazaar sponsorship?
I so move.
Okay, Paul moves motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second back there. And then all voting members based on that criteria I just mentioned, please raise your hand in person and or on Zoom, raise your hand as well. And then we'll need to take a count here.
I can count on Zoom.
I can't second, I wanted to know if you guys can get a second.
They don't have to be.
One second.
The last,
I
believe the last board adjusted the bylaws.
We changed the bylaws.
Yeah.
We got
So I have 12 in person and how many online?
9 of these raised.
9.
And then there's 11 now on the Zoom.
So there's 11 on Zoom. So
And I see one person's hand up as well, so that's 12. We have 12 on Zoom. 13 on Zoom. I just saw.
Okay.
Yeah, 13 on Zoom. I still have my hand up, nobody else does.
And then we have how many members on Zoom? 27?
That is the total participant attendance, but included in that is Bernadine, myself, Paul.
My phone.
So subtract, what was that, 4 or 5 from that?
Okay, 27 minus 5. And then in person here.
And there are a couple of non-members who are on.
Correct, there are, yes. Tanya's not a resident, so then subtract 1 more from the Zoom number. Liz can't vote, she's on the Bazaar team.
So we basically have 25 voted yes, and then we have
And then
basically 41 total. Am I counting that right? Which is 12, 13 Zoom, 12 in person, and then 41 total. So this is 25 out of 41 is majority. So simple majority. All right, it passes. Thank you. Thank you. I have my math right here. Check my work. Awesome. Yes, question.
No worries.
I'm sitting here with Ms. Kern, who is on the parade committee, and she brought up a very wonderful point. The parade doesn't make any money, and the bazaar makes a whole lot more money than even SJNA does. So I think it's a really good, maybe not before we just pass this vote. I don't want to throw too many wrenches in anything, but maybe moving forward, we could make notes that maybe for next year, we should consider either splitting, which we have done in the past, historically, not every year, but it has happened. Possibly looking at just why we give money to the bazaar, other than we just always have. And if that should be a big directive towards possibly splitting between the three, or even just splitting.
Yeah, and so on Zoom, the comment was basically looking at who we're funding, how we're funding, who we're sponsoring with Parade and Bazaar, and Bazaar being primarily profitable to say, Parade maybe not so much, but I think that's all really, really great. And we, I think, as we're coming through COVID, getting back to normal, when we originally even wrote this budget in 2022, we weren't even, none of us knew what was going to actually happen, but I definitely will say my commitment, us as a board will discuss in an ideal way, we're funding a minimum equal funding to both organizations, because I definitely agree and think that's the right thing to do.
I just wonder if you had submitted a request to be in your budget. I mean, however that process is, so that next year we know.
Yeah.
You're still only halfway into what we need to this rate. I mean, it's gonna happen, it might be a little right time, but it'll happen.
Yeah, so the comment was just in regards to, the parade and just the process. So I would say the process to get on our radar, I think this is great. We'll definitely keep that in mind. We will speak to that leading up to, I guess we'll be creating next year's fiscal budget in, Bernadine, is that May or June? When will we make next year's budget? When will we be making next year's budget?
We will be voting on that in June.
Perfect. So in June is the opportunity where we as a community all vote on our proposed budget. The proposed budget starts really just us trying to do our best to figure out what we're going to spend for the year. So I would say stay tuned and come back in June.
Bernadine, when I wasn't here for this last budget, was when we wrote in the line item for the bazaar, if you recall, was that from a historical thing, like we always had a bazaar line item, so it carried over to the next year?
It's always been there.
Got it.
Yeah, that's the way it came to be.
Okay.
And the boards that I've been on prior have not changed it.
Got it.
They've been able to,
right,
but they haven't.
So it seems like, it was a historical thing from the bazaar perspective. So now we can hopefully get this institutional knowledge to have it be for kind of both.
Thank you for bringing it up. Yeah. So the board is wanting to propose to the general membership.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, so we'll definitely get in front of that in June. Yeah, did you have a question?
So what was the extra $50 for? Is that for the booth?
So we budgeted $200. That's what we've historically done. And the bazaar came back and asked for $250 as minimum sponsorship. So to sponsor. It's the minimum essentially we can sponsor. They're donating the booth as part of the sponsorship, if you will. Yes.
There is someone who would like an update on the parade in the chat.
Yeah, there is a question in the chat just on an update in the parade. Yeah, so I think you may not have been able to hear, but it sounds like will be happening. To what extent it sounds, or I don't know. Do you want to just give a little update that I can relay back to the Zoom?
Yeah, someone on Zoom asked for the.
I think things are going forward. We have the permit, yay. And Neil route is still in play, and we still need volunteers, and we still need money donation. There's cans throughout the business district. There's some of the more logical businesses My personal favorite is the wishing well. The young lady that works there, when she hands a customer their change back, in her other hand, she has the can. Okay, so, and there's 3 of them at Ace Hardware, so, you know, that's always a big, you know, one coming in, but they're throughout. I mean, there's 18 cans in that, in the district, so the stuff is changing, it does add up.
Perfect. Yeah, for Zoom, I'll just give the quick little update here. So it sounds like permit is a check. The route is also looking good. Volunteers, donations, the parade is still looking for those. So you can visit the St. John's Parade website, and also donations, check bars, restaurants, local businesses, Ace Hardware. There's some little kind of like the, you know, metal can here.
Drew dropped a link in the chat to volunteer.
And then, yeah, Drew has dropped a link into the chat as well on how to volunteer. So great. Well, now we were ahead of time. Now we're way behind time. So I'm going to keep this moving. I'm sorry. We will continue to keep this one here quick. So next up is safety and livability. Austin.
You have 60 seconds.
Okay.
No,
Keep it brief if you can, please.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Austin, and I attend a few of these public action safety committee meetings, and which are attended by the Portland Police Bureau and also city representatives. And so I just have a few updates. Let me see if I can find some key ones here. So just a police update, the North Precinct has 3 dedicated police officers on every shift that serve the St. John's neighborhood. And they have tried to increase their presence along our business district. And so hopefully you may notice them, seeing them more often, which would be nice. Police are conducting retail theft missions in Delta Park. So this is a little bit of good news, bad news. On the one hand, that means people are, you know, not being able to commit crime, but a little bit of a downhand is that people may be moving to different areas. So they see that they can't commit crimes in Delta Park, and then they move elsewhere, which could include us in St. John's. So that's something that we've been made aware of. Also, this summer, there's a lot of events at the Expo Center and at the Raceway, which are scheduled to have thousands, like 30,000 plus people. So 3 days or so before these events, like NASCAR and whatnot, they're going to be clearing camps. And so then we may see an uptick in our neighborhood around those times. So that's something to be aware of. Portland Police would like to reiterate that citizens who report illegal activity should provide any photos and video evidence at the time of making a police report. Collecting this evidence after the initial report is made can slow down the process, and just getting a hold of them can be increasingly difficult due to staffing. And one thing I wanted to bring up was that I pulled. So hopefully you're all aware of pdxreporter.org. It's a place to go if you want to report abandoned cars, campsites, debris in the roadways, potholes, illegal parking, park maintenance, plugged storm drains, sidewalk violations, sidewalk trip hazards, sidewalk vegetation, street lighting issues, work zone concerns, or other. And the reason why I bring this up is because this is how the city is addressing these issues. So they're not driving around looking for problems. You need to go to pdxreporter.org and report these issues there, because that's how they're triaging where they're sent in the city. So I printed out the last month in St. John's, and I saw like 3 dots. And then like elsewhere in the city, there's hundreds of dots. So everywhere else in the city is getting help, and everything here, it looks the same. So I'm just trying to get the word out to you that if you want to see changes in your neighborhood, if you're seeing issues, go to pdxreporter.org, and that's how we'll get the city to hopefully address these issues, and we just may have to keep reporting them, but that's the process. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Yes?
You mentioned that PDB has 3 dedicated patrols in St. John. Is that a new thing?
So, yeah, so the question was, what is the police staffing in St. John's? So North Precinct covers a lot of different neighborhoods, and we are understaffed as a city as a whole. So, and for new recruits, it can take 18 months to train up new hires because they have to go to Salem to go through the academy. So a lot of times new hires are at desk jobs and whatnot before they can actually serve out on the street. So Tanya can probably speak to this as well, but with business districts, you know, and we've been working to try and get more police presence in St. John's. And so we've made some headway there. And so having 3 officers every shift have us in mind is a step in that direction. It's not ideal because a lot of times police are going from 911 call to 911 call, but they are at least hearing us and trying to address our concerns. So we're just going to keep that dialogue going.
So it's North Precinct has 3 officers per shift, but then
so North Precinct has 3 officers, like to specifically respond to St. John's, like during every shift of the day.
Oh, okay.
But usually they're understaffed for the day in North Precinct. If that makes sense.
There might not be.
There might not be, or they may be called away depending on what the day.
Are you aware of any promises or pledges that were made during the 90-day reset meeting that increased these patrols in St. John's? Are you aware of that?
So I can't speak to the 90-day reset. Tanya might be able to.
That, and the specific question was, sorry, what was the specific question about that?
Were there any pledges given by the police bureau in that 90-day reset meeting?
Any pledges given by the police bureau?
So were there any pledges made by any officials or the police bureau during the 90-day reset?
To increase police?
Yeah, do you want me to talk into that?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I am meeting actually with the lieutenant on Thursday for discussing the 90-day reset asks from the police department. So they, as Austin said, they are limited, but they are, you know, talking to me, and we are trying to find solutions. As part of that, starting in the spring, when the weather gets a little better, they are trying to implement where there will be officers that are actually working overtime to be boots on the ground, walking in the business district with PS3s, which are funded by Carmen Rubio's office, and they are social workers. So they will be walking up and down Lombard and going into businesses, the police officers with these PS3s, and that will start as soon as the weather clears.
Thanks, Tanya. Anything else? Are there any questions on Zoom?
No questions. Somebody dropped in the PDX reporter link.
Okay,
so
great.
Perfect.
Thanks, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you, Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. And then I think I might skip, sorry, just to briefly continue to move here. I know we have a very quick guest speaker coming up as well. It'll just be a very, very brief one, but I just wanted to give an update just because I know you all can somewhat be interested as well, but from the Safe Rest Village. So I'll just read you this directly. So for those who don't know, the Safe Rest Village at the Cut or Peninsula Crossing Trail that is happening, there is an update that came through. So looks like today I'm reading this verbatim, so this is not me saying this, but the impact reduction program is currently focusing on keeping the construction area clear of camping. So that area is under construction. If you have seen it, they are working on phase 1 of the Safe Rest Village over there. Keep the area clear of camping to ensure that the progress on the Safe Rest Village is able to move forward without disruption. At this time, we do not have areas posted for removal that are indirectly against the temporary fencing for the SRV. Per the mayor's direction, there will be a 150-foot perimeter around the village where campsite removal will be prioritized. This will become active and enforceable once the village is open and operating. The navigation team are continuing to do extensive outreach at least once a week with the folks staying in this area to help identify resources that best fit their needs. This includes, but is not limited to, shelter referrals, permanent supportive housing assessments, drug and alcohol resources, referrals to medical services, to name a few. When the SRV team has identified an opening date, we will work with the community and navigation teams as well as other partners to revisit the outreach approach and adjust to provide continual outreach services that fit the new dynamics in this area. Last thing here was I appreciate everyone's continued engagement as the city works to move this project forward. The Safe Rest Village team and Impact Reduction Program will provide updates as we know more. So for anyone interested, you can just Google, and it's in my newsletter as well, but you can just look up Safe Rest Village updates. You can specifically click on the Peninsula Crossing Trail to see specifics on that location. Well, I'm going to keep moving along here, and I did promise Donna that we would give her just a moment to speak about the 2040 freight plan update, which you all may or may not be aware of. So Donna, I'm going to hand it over to you if you can just please keep it brief. If Donna is still here. We may have lost Donna.
I don't see Donna.
Well, essentially the 2040 freight plan is a PBOT initiative that is happening within the city of Portland, and the part of the 2040 freight plan that Donna is specifically focusing on are reinforcing our exit routes, improving the bridges across the railroad track to be able to hopefully not be cut off from the rest of city services if and when the earthquake happens. So essentially all three bridges, from my understanding, from Willamette to Lombard to Columbia will collapse in not even the biggest, largest earthquake. So she's really advocating for that to be focused on as far as the 2040 freight plan. And if you look up 2040 freight plan online, they're right now looking for community input. So if that is something important to you, Donna would appreciate if you all as community wanted to provide any sort of community advocacy there. Okay. I'm going to just keep this thing moving here so we can just wrap this up. I know everybody, it's getting late here. So from a land use perspective, as I mentioned, Mike Barta is no longer chair. I'm acting chair. There's a few little updates I might save, or if anyone is specifically interested in land use, see me after, please. But there was one thing specifically that I did get a note from a community member about the ODOT intersection closures. I don't know if you all saw, but there's 3 ODOT intersections that are being closed and actually are already closed within St. John's. By closed, I'll just kind of explain what that is. So the 3 intersections are North Ivanhoe and North Philadelphia, North Oswego and North Lombard, and North Syracuse, which is not at an intersection, but essentially these, I reached out to ODOT, got a communication back. These are not quote unquote actual intersections. They're not marked, they're not official intersections. And so what ODOT is doing is they put, you might see it says crosswalk closed. It's like a big metal thing. So that is, from my understanding, to try and de-incentivize people from crossing at those more dangerous spots, which aren't really crosswalks anyway. And I incentivize going to actual marked crosswalks with proper lighting and proper buttons to be able to give you the little walking signal. So I have additional details as well, and I included in my newsletter. If you have any questions, see me after, please. So then just real brief, the little at-large updates, and then we'll get you all out of here. And please, it won't be rude if you have to leave. I will not take offense. But I'm going to hand it over to Paul if you want to come over here to the speaking chair for Safer Together.
Thank you. So I think everyone knows what Safer Together is, but just in case you don't, we received some funding from the Portland Bureau of Emergency Management to hold a series of about 30 what we're calling Safer Together block parties, which are regular block parties with music and food and all that, but also with a 10 or 15-minute intervention speech about disaster and emergency resilience. And it is really true that this is important because when there's a major disaster or even a minor emergency, the services, the fire department and the EMTs are overwhelmed. And normally when there's a disaster, the people that are the first responders are friends, family, and neighbors. So it's very good to know your neighborhood. We have another agenda, which we just think it's good for people to know each other, frankly. Anyway. So we've been offering people the chance to be block party hosts. We have not done much advertising. The only place we've talked about this really is in these meetings on our website and in the network emergency team meetings, the NETs, if you know the NETs. The NETs are citizen volunteers who are especially trained to deal with emergencies. And so we've had 28 people sign up saying they wanted to lead a block party. This is just an amazing result. So we have all these plans for publicity, and I don't think we need to do this too much because it's working pretty well. However, not all of those 28 are going to do it. So some people just said, well, I want to know more, but I don't know if I will do it, and so on. So I invite you, first of all, if you would, we have these little flyers here, English on one side, Spanish on the other. There's some by the door. Take these if you can. If you have a shop window, give them to your neighbor, read them yourself, go to the website, find out about it. And you might want to be a block party host. And can I just see a show of hands? How many people have said are there people here who have said they're going to be a block party host? Oh, bless your hearts. You guys are so good. Yeah, hi. Okay, good. And people online too. But if you haven't, go to the website and you can sign up. And there's a backlog. We're sort of behind schedule. I've been doing this a lot. Austin has had to step back some, but Austin did a huge amount of work at the beginning, working closely with Juan, hi, and others on the board, and some of the NETs too, and I'm working with Paul Lefebvre, who's a NET, and preparing the presentation that we'll be giving. And we're still behind here. And one thing I wanted to invite you, if you are a host, I want to do some orientations as a group instead of, because what we've been doing is calling people up saying, can we get together, have a cup of coffee, talk about what you want to do so that we can support you and having the block party that you want. But it'd be with 28 people, this actually is kind of a chore, as pleasant as it is. So I want to just try having some group meetings. So if you would like to, this Thursday, I just picked a date at random, just give me a call, take one of these pieces of paper, and just let me know if you would like to come, either at 2 o'clock or 7 o'clock on Thursday, and we could just chat. And I think that would be really useful, especially if there's even 2 people. That would be great, because then you all could exchange ideas, and I could exchange ideas, and we could talk about what we're doing. One of these? Yes.
I'll put it.
Here we go. See? Yeah. Oh, good. Thank you. And then, and the main thing we'll be doing is going through this little booklet, which we've worked on. This has been revised a number of times now based on input of hosts. And this is the manual for Safer Together block parties. And I think it's actually pretty good. It's 12 pages, but it's, large print. It's not that much to do. And we have our first block party scheduled now, which is on my block, although it's not me doing it. I was planning to do this. So I was chatting with my neighbor, and he said, oh yeah, I want to do one. I said, hey, man, you're on, but we're doing it together. That's going to be April 23rd, which is daring and really taking a risk because of the weather. Just every day I look at it and I say, oh no. And there's a 39% chance of measurable rain on April 23rd. That's historically so. But we have a rain plan. And so I really do invite everybody to, if you haven't done that, I think it's going to be great fun, and I think it is a good thing for St. John's and a good thing for your neighborhood, because I know it's going to be a good thing for my neighborhood. When I say neighborhood, I don't mean all of St. John's. I mean 4 blocks. Then the last thing I say is that we are a little bit overwhelmed, and we're trying to recruit. We have money in our budget for a couple of assistants who would do things like help with canvassing the neighborhood, help haul out our speakers and our loudspeakers and our tables, help put things back in boxes when it's over, things like that. And we haven't recruited them yet, and I think this is my fault. We started too late. We've talked to to Roosevelt School. They're advertising it because some of their students want to. This is a good job because it's a summer job, weekends. We're going to pay $15 an hour. Be working with nice people. I'm serious. The block party hosts. There's not a nasty block party host out there. They're all the good, because that's their host. They want to do this. They want to be, yeah, we love our neighbors. So they're nice people. So it's a great opportunity for somebody. So if you know somebody who would be interested in a part-time summer job that has, again, it's a contribution to the neighborhood, and you get paid, and you get to do varied tasks. Part of the job description is mingle with people. So, get paid to mingle. Come on, guys. So if you do know that, there's these little flyers here. You could just, if you want to, you can just scan the QR code, or you can go to our website. We have an online form. It's about 7 questions, and you can apply for this job in 5 minutes, seriously. So I'd love if you could help fill that spot, or those spots, that'd be great. Yes?
Is there a date by which you want to have the block parties finished?
Yeah, so good question. Well, they have to be finished by December 31st. By the grant, the question was, when do the block parties need to be finished? By the grant, everything has to be wrapped up by December 31st. By the weather, probably September, except for, like, we're going to be talking to the Racket Club, and there are a couple of other possibilities of indoor spots. So if there were an indoor one, it could be in December, but otherwise, Portland. That's all. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you, Paul. All right. Awesome. Let's see here. We have updates, outreach, Carol. Okay, we're good there. We have Leslie who's out, who's bizarre parade. And then we have Juan, actually, from an at-large standpoint. We'll give Juan the mic here.
Hey everyone, I knew my time to talk would come. I was waiting for that. I'm gonna be super brief. I was actually thinking a lot about what I was gonna say. So I'm just gonna give an update. So I've been doing some work with outreach to help include the Hispanic community of St. John's. We're doing a lot of Spanish communication, and I've been helping translate all of that. And I've also helped with the Safer Together block parties. Well, Paul talked all about it. And also translating for that. And what else do we got?
We do videos for that too.
Video, yeah. I also volunteered to do video for the block parties and for basically anything the SJNA needs. And I've also volunteered. Well, I've also helped or are supportive of, and I've offered to help with the Frog Ferry project, which I think is much needed, especially down at the bottom of the hill, because we don't have many public transportation opportunities there, and I believe it's very important for the community to have different transportation options. And I was going to say something else, but I think no, I think that's it. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, we're going to have a block party. It's not for Cinco de Mayo, but it's happening on Cinco de Mayo. But come celebrate your Cinco de Mayo there, and we're going to have.
That's at Sitten, right?
At Sitten School. Mm-hmm. And yeah, and any other questions? Yeah.
Just mentioned of wanting to have bilingual meetings.
Yes.
Is that in one meeting or having separate meetings, or do you have a plan?
Yeah, that's right. So the question was that we were talking about having bilingual meetings. Yeah, because we're outreaching in Spanish, so we expect people that speak Spanish to come to these meetings. And one of the solutions that we've worked on is going to be Zoom has an option where if you pay some deal extra, they give you in live subtitles. So we could have live subtitles show up on the screen for the meetings and also for the people on Zoom. And if there to be the case where visually impaired person that is monolingual Spanish comes to a meeting, I could just sit with them and translate. Anything else?
Awesome, thank you, Juan.
Thanks, Juan.
Yeah, and that's a great segue just to continue my talk about fundraising. We will be reaching out shortly to help pay for all these awesome things like Zoom translation and all these wonderful ideas that we all have. So that is it from a board standpoint. I do see Liz, if she's still here, if you want to give a very brief booster update on what's happening.
Sure. I have a link in the chat for the ones who are online about a couple events we have coming up. So this weekend on the 15th of April from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the plaza, we have the Spring Fling. It also goes on throughout the business district all through the day. There'll be activities like the Unico photo bus. There'll be somebody doing fairy hair. There'll be hula hooping. There'll be chalk art. And there'll be a passport event to get your passport stamped at different retail locations to win a huge gift basket full of hundreds of dollars worth of prizes for no purchase necessary. You just have to follow the passport. We're also starting St. John's Bites this weekend on the 15th. And there's also St. John's History Tours going on the 15th, which are full. We offered free ones for April, May, and June. They will be paid from then on, but there are ones available throughout the rest of the year that are paid with Slabtown Tours at slabtowntours.com. That's it.
Cool. Very cool. Thank you, Liz. Yeah, all really exciting stuff. And then the last piece here, I don't know if we have anybody, SJCO, we have David. Oh, yeah, I do see David on here. Any updates?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. I'll try to keep this really short as well. The two big things are, if you've driven past the farmer's market in the last few days, you'll notice the project is moving forward there. All the shrubs are getting ripped out. So over the next few weeks, that project will start to really take shape. And hopefully by the time that the farmer's market opens on May 6th, we'll have a brand new, nice native plants only little area. So it should be a big improvement. And then the other thing that's going on, every Wednesday at the library from noon to 2, the workforce navigator, Berenia, will be there. She's helping folks with resumes, interview prep, application assistance, helping them get jobs, you name it. And she's fluent in Spanish as well. So it's free, it's open to everybody. You don't need to RSVP or anything. It's just show up and she's more than happy to help you out. So that's ongoing, like I said, at the library, noon to 2 every Wednesday. So that's it. That's what I got.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll definitely include that in the newsletter. Thank you. And I did see online too, there were some new bike racks installed down at the farmer's market as well, I believe. And so that's all super exciting. I know I'm excited. All right, everybody, thank you for bearing with us. So apologies that we're over, but again, it's always a pleasure. We'll go ahead and, oh, sorry, one last question. Yes. A bike rental? Oh yeah, so on the Zoom, there's a bike fix-it and pump station here at James John. A Metro grant to fund that. Perfect. Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and adjourn at 8:53, Drew. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. But again, thank you everybody in person and thank you online. Thank you.